Are we sure we're live? We're live. We're live. Like on the things, on all the things.
The interwebs.
The interwebs.
The entirety of the interwebs.
Yeah. Okay, we are live unexpectedly. We have a special unreported guest, unscheduled guest.
It's better than saying unwelcomed.
An unwelcome.
No, we picked him up in the hallway.
We picked him up in the hallway.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
do know him before, so it's not like a totally random thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, Alex, who are you?
Well, no, let's introduce him first with our own introduction, which is that Alex is everybody's somebody. He's everybody's best friend.
Everybody's somebody.
He runs the Young Health Leaders Summit. He runs SAS, as far as we know.
Do I?
We're not totally sure. He is a Look, oh my gosh. I think
he's young looking. It's because I cut my hair short on the sides, but it's like gray.
Yeah. Anyway, so you can introduce yourself for real now.
Okay, for real now.
Alex Mersperger, Global Head of Product Marketing for Healthcare at SAS.
Sounds like he runs it.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good to me.
A very small portion of a healthcare business unit within the large private software and analytics company SAS. And then by night, which Los Angeles does look like Gotham City.
Yeah.
It's like been very hazy and weird. And nighttime is like kind of
rainy.
There's like white clouds, but at night
it's
like a weird. Yeah, you're
Not
like
great.
it's odd. And definitely sketchy, and so the Gotham feeling is there. So by night, I put on the Batman cape and wear our Young Health Leader Summit event. Usually, I say wear our Young Health Leader Summit event because I like literally have T-shirts that say Young Health Leader Summit, and I wear them all over. That's our marketing budget.
As you should.
Young Health Leader Summit from a young person who is
youngish,
totally not dyeing their hair.
We're like the oldest people there.
Yeah, we're like the ancient.
It's us.
The old crowd.
It's the young and young at heart.
Yeah.
Alex is a repeat guest.
Yep.
And
have there been many repeat guests? I actually feel honored to be on this couch.
You're one of them. You're one of two.
Otto came on.
Bless you.
Yeah.
This is all right.
You came to his party. It was great.
You can send a real guest to Melissa. That's fine. This is an unscheduled guest. Oh, she. Who? This may not be our real guest. Listen, this is live, as everyone knows.
Not be someone
we have no idea what we're doing.
I think we have dudes coming on the show.
Yeah, me too.
It doesn't matter.
So actually, realistically, today is day. Yeah, today we're live right now. Today is day 457 of Vive,
at least,
as we know,
and of 2024.
We're pretty sure. So, Young Health Leader Summit coming up in May
in Miami.
Which
got
is
a good ring
very
to it.
hot. I don't think this is the right. I think we got a
who knows?
misjudge.
Who knows?
Not us.
Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
Young Health Leader Summit, Miami, May.
The show is on time.
We're excited. I think the to your point of day 4,724 on this planet that we call Gotham City, Los Angeles. I think most events that we attend are optimized for business.
Yeah.
And we want to drive business at the Young Health Leader Summit, all the things. But most of the events are convention center centric. They're all the things.
Yeah.
And so Young Health Leader Summit, I think, just by differentiation of no exhibit hall, it was like.
I'm going to come and create an exhibit hall. I'm going to have my own exhibit hall for myself.
So I think if you take the best people, put them in a room, I think so much magic happens.
Yeah.
And so Magic Miami May.
Magic Miami May.
All right, well, we'll be there. We're ready.
Bless you.
We're coming for it.
We're excited.
This is why you're the boss of marketing for SAS, is what I heard.
I heard that
Magic Miami May.
That he runs it, so it's cool. All right, Alex. So we were supposed to be accountability partners to each other at Vive this year, so that we didn't collapse in the lobby from exhaustion. And
is it working?
I don't know, you guys. I stayed out later than I should have, and then I got in a fight.
Yeah.
And then I had
this accountability partner thing has broken down very quickly.
I had a chicken salad at midnight. I don't know.
Yeah. I somehow got to your party later. I got there after you left.
Oh no.
Is the bad news.
Yeah,
and so I was talking to all sorts of bad life choices.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But yeah, so we probably shouldn't be that to each other anymore.
Yeah, we're parting ways.
Everybody needs a Lisa.
We'll find a responsible.
So Lisa went home at 9. Just to be clear, Lisa was I'm out.
Yeah, Lisa was like I'm leaving, and I was like, wait, just 10 more minutes. Then
all right, so you're my new accountability partner.
Lisa is your accountability partner. Melissa Danino is not your accountability partner.
Actually, the Vive team has been so sweet. hearing the story of last year, actually of Nashville, where I lost my voice.
Oh no.
Health, where I almost lost my life.
Yeah.
This time, like every time someone from the
Why
health,
do you keep coming back?
I know they're so good
It's
to me.
dangerous for
But
you.
every time someone from the health team sees me or Vive team sees me, they're like offering me bananas. Snacks. They're like, "Can we? Yeah, like, are you walking far? Can we sit with you?" They're so sweet. It is the best. Vive has been such a great
what are
place.
you super pumped about at Vive?
Yeah. So far.
It's always to me about the people. So
Besides your unscheduled visit.
both of you,
Love it.
this.
We're here. Show.
I do think it is amazing the people that continue to come back, and it is amazing. You see, I've been to every Health and Vive. You see new people, you see old people. You're always around. You see just
You can't even take it.
the best, wonderful people. So always about the people. I do think this year is an interesting year. I think at Health, the big announcement was the General Catalyst and Summa Health, this year doesn't feel like we've had that type of announcement yet, or
Not
like
yet.
interesting
Maybe
thing
it's
not yet.
gonna
So
be
maybe
tomorrow.
today. But I wish
Tomorrow's the conference still?
Yes.
I'm not going to be here. I'm not.
Me neither.
Walking around exhibit halls and hearing sort of the stuff that goes on, I do wish there were bigger bets in healthcare. Like I wish there was a Summa Health at every event.
Yeah.
Like, and it does. I know that nothing's happened yet.
Right,
It may not be interesting, but it doesn't feel like I'm at least to this point of day 437.
There's not enough drama. Is what you're
there's
saying.
not enough. Like someone's doing something really interesting that's going to do something that really makes a difference.
I'm still hearing a lot of stress among founders, like really rightfully, right?
Rightfully
if you
so.
started a company, you're trying to make it work, and you have an idea, and you have partnerships, and you have, staff, people who work for you, you're feeling the pinch really, really seriously right now. There are all these like, oh, it's going to be a better year for funding and things like that. Well, you know what? This was a big shift that had to happen for all kinds of reasons, and it is not over yet in terms of saying like, no, I'm not going to fund that right now, or no, not that much money, or no, we don't agree with your direction. And I definitely feel a little bit like the stressy vibe and an undercurrent of stressy vibes.
I feel some stressy vibes.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun to walk through the exhibit hall with someone new that has never. So I don't get that chance all the time, but I walk through with someone who is their very first Vive ever. Because just so many people that I interact with have been to these events or things in the past. So I walked through yesterday with someone who was like landed on Planet Vive and was like, this is the first time walking through this exhibit hall. And in one row, just kind of hearing their reaction was kind of like, I think all these companies are the same company. I was like, just wording kind of, there's like a whole row of kind of like diabetes care coordination.
True.
Now they're like AI.
Yeah, so you got AI care coordination type thing. And it was like, I think all these companies might be the same company. So I do think there is some inherent stress of you're starting to wake up in the world and be like, shoot, there's probably some consolidation that needs to happen. There's
how many companies do we need in this space? Like, what's different about what we're doing? Yeah. That's,
listen, let's predict the big swing. Should there be a big swing today?
Yes.
Like, what would it
Always.
be?
There was a wonderful announcement. One of the bigger swings that I heard was a lovely, sizable donation to the Cancer X. So I would say, I would say that is a big swing and a big important deal. So I think from a stage standpoint.
Now listen, I'll tell you. So I gave a speech last night. She did. It was a beautiful speech. There was no mic, so not sure if anyone heard it. But what I was saying in there is like, listen, like that's a lot of money for us, right? We're little. We're not Optum. That was my big joke. Like we don't have $1 billion, but like we need more people who are gonna like put in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know? Like maybe SAS, I don't know.
Okay. Well, SAS actually leads the CEO for Cancer Roundtable, and we do a lot of we do a lot of cancer things.
I mean, that was a big swing
other
for us.
Companies could also do something like that.
But there are ways that we can help share data, help use the resources that we've built, or the CEO Cancer for Roundtable, all of those type of things that we can bring time, resources, expertise,
because then
people.
You can come to the receptions with us.
Awesome.
Which, accountability partners.
One accountability partner. One of these two.
I have many people I am accountability partnering, apparently.
I'm just signing you up. It's your fourth job.
It's my fourth or fifth job. It's fine.
It's fine.
No, I mean, I do. It's a tough one, right? Because I don't know that there certainly is not like a culture of philanthropy, strategic philanthropy in large companies. I think there's like, I would argue that really any health system could use their community benefit dollars for this kind of work if they wanted to. But you know what? They have to, for example, build a new fountain or, a new whatever.
So there's a really controversial, or maybe it's just truth-telling article that went around about just the non-profit charitable dollars could be used to spend on the ways that they should be using non-profit charitable dollars for actual patients. And so that they're like heartbreaking articles making the rounds of the suing of patients.
Yeah, no,
I saw how many nonprofit organizations
I'm not
suing.
gonna call them out.
It's the number one cause of bankruptcy in America.
Colorado,
and then our official guests are here.
UC Colorado, whatever it's called. They are suing patients to get a tiny amount of money. People who are very, very poor, and it doesn't make sense financially. It doesn't make sense for your overall nonprofit charitable status. There are so many reasons why it doesn't make sense, and it's harming patients. And if your job is to help patients, if your job is to heal people, why would you then also try to sue them and destroy their lives financially? That's my question for everyone.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Hopefully that's part of the big swing. And I think it's very easy to be a pessimist when you see the articles and like, ooh, we're all part of this great big ecosystem of healthcare that's making these financial choices. But I do think being at a place like Vive, you do see so many of the best people. Yeah. And so you see people that, like some of the late night parties or late night things, some of those late night like networking events are people saying like, how do we make this change? How do we put our time resources? How do we take limited funds? How do we get bigger runs? Back alley conversations have been really meaningful, and so many good people that make me, I usually have a healthcare optimist shirt on. And I had leopard print, but today is the wrong day on camera. But
this is the thing,
I still remain optimistic.
You were in your real job and your part-time job and your other part-time job.
We have many jobs.
You are trying to help people connect and do better and grow in their careers. A lot of individuals are trying to do good things. Like people are I would very much like to sue patients. Nobody like wakes up and like.
I think there's at least a few people.
There's they're not here in our, but like so there's individuals and there's the entire group. So we have to kind of get over that and get people to come together and make systematic change.
All right,
we gotta kick you out. Yeah, Miami. We're going to Miami in May.
Thank you to our unscheduled guests.
Unscheduled everybody's best friend.
You guys are here and here.
All right. Are we moving them? Right. Yeah, it's live right now. It's fine.
Yeah, we're live.
Come on.
You're on.
This is how it works. This is a budget operation, y'all. And you're gonna
edit it? No.
And I need you.
We're gonna
share a mic because this is a budget operation.
We're gonna edit it to make it worse.
Okay.
Why don't you guys have a fancy room?
Well, they gave us one, but it's like the lighting's bad. Like we don't know what's going on. It's not good.
Okay.
Is he in screen? Okay.
Unfortunately, you have to share one mic.
That's okay.
Yeah, just just make it work. I think you just hold hands.
And Best Buy sells extra microphones.
You know what, Ben? I feel like maybe we could make a deal. Listen,
I know where you could buy.
You know what would be great?
We could get the Geek Squad to come down and
please. We actually genuinely.
Oh my God, I kind of like the idea of sending the Geek Squad to people's houses.
I need that.
That's like punishment for their IT incompetency.
Okay, so listen, we're gonna intro these guys. Okay, so we just did a rural health panel. Well, we did a rural health panel, and then Ben did a stand up. But so we have Dr. Patrick McGill. He's the Chief Transformation Officer of Community Health Network in Indiana and Indianapolis, and then we have Dr. Benjamin Zaniello, who is the Chief Medical Officer of Best Buy Health. So we just did like this amazing panel. Everybody loved us. It was so good. It was definitely the best panel of Vive, just saying. Lisa moderated from the audience. It was great. And you guys are doing a live deal, right? They're doing a live deal right now.
Why? Yeah. I mean, basically.
You're going to sign?
We agreed to connect after Vive.
Which is not a good.
Right.
It's a live post Vive connection.
Okay.
But we had a background that we didn't know about.
Right.
Oh.
So two things. Two streams of background.
Tell us about this new romance. I am ready.
Well,
I love
I didn't realize that we had been on meetings before when he was in his previous role.
Oh yeah.
Which we'll give a shout out to Point Click Care.
That's right.
He's so quiet.
Right.
Yeah. Point Click Care is a great. God bless Point Click Care. God bless Canada.
And then I introduced him to our VP of Business Development, who just had ACL surgery.
Oh yeah.
We're a day apart.
And has been stuck in Colorado because she has a place in Colorado not skiing because everybody else is skiing.
Going with the adage, misery craves company. We instantly saw in each other's eyes the fact that we were two skiers that had to watch everyone else ski for the last 6 weeks, which is just brutal.
This guy just went through, I guess, most ACL surgeries unscheduled ACL surgery, emergency-ish ACL surgery.
Fair enough. Yes.
Do you guys feel like superstars for running the best panel at Vive?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I was in the presence of greatness.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't actually on the best panel.
That was what Dr.
Straight
Zink.
from Appalachia,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Dr. Anzik.
Exactly.
Public health
We
and
all knew
healthcare
that
hero.
Antic is always,
Yeah, we
always
We should ask her to come.
It should have been a one-woman panel, actually.
right. And,
No,
and
usually
that
it is.
And that woman is not Kat.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, this time it's not me. Anyway,
Amazing.
okay, let's have a real
All right.
conversation. Patrick,
Okay.
why are you here?
No more fake
Why am I here?
Yeah.
Because I was speaking on the panel.
Yeah.
No, you were coming before that.
I was.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my first time to Vive.
Okay.
Kat knows the story about why I haven't been to Vive before, but really, as the chief transformation officer, leading transformation and change, digital innovation at community.
We need tech support. Melissa,
It's a budget operation.
and you know it's bad when I curse at her in German. Sorry, Melissa.
Bad.
It's fine.
I just said
She's good.
Vorsicht, bitte Vorsicht.
Yeah, at least
Dein
it's married to a
Kaffee.
German.
It's
fine.
not good.
It's okay. All right, get back in your spiel.
Okay, so coming here to learn, where some opportunities are, meet some old partners, make new partners, and really just drive change.
Yeah.
Transformation.
Oh man. So
Okay.
what's the biggest partnership deal excitingness that you have going on? Like, it doesn't have to be a closed deal, is it, Ben?
I mean, no pressure, man, but we're really proximate right
You could do
that
something
would be the
right
biggest
here.
deal. So I just signed a contract on Saturday with
Okay.
another company. We're about to sign another, probably one this week.
Whoa, just signing stuff.
I got
Yeah.
offered to sign the point-click care
now. Contract.
paper contract after the talk.
They do paper
Are you gonna do
contracts?
it?
Paper?
No,
Did they-
this is important for our audience that
At a digital conference, I was offered to sign a paper
Yes.
That's really
that
upsetting.
a
Listen, that's what I'm
Point
talking about.
I'm
employee who
concerned
will
about
remain
that.
nameless
Carrying around
Kelvin,
with them.
brought the contract just in case you wanted
In
to be
paper.
ready to sign.
Listen,
it in
that's
paper.
commitment.
It
That
is.
guy.
It was
We're
actually awesome.
committed. We're
You
committed.
were actually
Commitment.
I was impressed. We're
Point click
committed.
care. God bless America and Canada.
Dora, help your friend here. She needs your help. We need some physical. We need some.
We're not sure what's
There's stuff
Listen,
happening behind
What
the
you
counter.
can't see is that there is a disaster underway behind us, but it's gonna be great because
I feel like we're still recording.
we're
so
no,
it's
we,
okay.
we are, we totally
So,
are.
can I-
Commitment.
I'm gonna give a Vive, other than I seem to be the only person that can't pronounce Vive. I want to call it Viv, like vivisection. But right,
Okay.
right. Let's let that go.
All the things you would think about when you're naming a conference, like
Vive.
branding,
Right.
right?
Having food available.
Is
Food
I
available.
Right.
right having ouch.
Woo!
I actually
Five
dragged
friends, more food.
I dragged my gimpy leg a half mile from the conference to get food. I'm not blaming anyone. A little bit. No, I've actually been excited by. I kind of expected every conference was going to have like AI tattoos,
Yeah.
and that we would be
Yeah,
forced
yeah,
to discuss AI in
Yeah.
every discussion. But I seem to be the only person bringing it up, which I
Because
love.
everyone's already so over the top that it's
Right.
just like it
Right.
became a meme in like 5 minutes because people couldn't stop adding.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It's
what
true.
do you mean? Do you mean that the AI should make clinical decisions? Should the AI move the robotic surgery itself? That's
Yeah.
terrifying. Come on. If you know anything about what's actually behind the scenes here, you should be very worried. And I think you appropriately are. But people are now like,
We
it's
had
already.
a guy come on the show who said AI is like a toaster. You know, like the toast pops up.
Yeah.
It's like AI.
Yeah.
Like it's
There's
I mean,
nothing
it's a
there.
good toaster.
There's nothing.
He's
There's
like
nothing
this.
there.
Right, I know,
well,
I'm trying to
because we were making
fictionalize
fun of it, blah
You were
blah
gonna
blah.
sign a deal.
One side's burnt.
You were gonna sign a paper.
The other side's not.
I mean,
I mean,
I don't know.
Don't throw it in the bathtub. Like, hey, don't have AI in the bathtub.
where does this guy come from? Indiana. I mean,
There's a lot of toasters end up in bathtubs in Indiana. Well, that's the thing.
seriously.
I was trying to get the connection with AI and toasters, and then
I don't know.
Genuinely, one of the
Don't throw
weirdest
AI in the
things to be
bathtub.
worried about that we were all worried about. Bathtubs and toasters.
Toasters,
You're like,
right.
Yeah.
why? What is the scenario where your
Sorry.
toaster is in your bathtub?
Caution for the audience.
Totally. Don't do it. public health risk.
public health problems. But
Yes.
so you guys are basically from the same place, right? Like, well, he's from Atlanta, but
But all the South is kind of a.
but you're from
gelatinous
Kentucky, which is
mass.
technically Indiana.
Right.
So what's the connection here?
Right.
What's going on?
I was telling him I do have a bias towards what I believe is the real tri-state region.
Okay.
Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. By the way, I only think Kentuckians call it the tri-state region because we want to associate with our northern neighbors, kind of disassociate with really West Virginia. We're trying to avoid in the
God
kind
bless
of
West Virginia.
right. Kind of
Yeah.
So the funny story is when I first moved to Indiana, I never really had a Southern accent. I was born and raised in Atlanta, went to school in Georgia, went to Indiana, and I would have patients who would come in that would have really thick Southern accents. So I got excited, like, "Hey, you from the South?" Or trying to get a little piece of home, and they would say, "Yeah, where are you from?" "Kentucky." I'm like, "Wait a second, that's not the South." Wait a second here.
It's not.
When I went to University of Kentucky for medical school, everybody, even within Kentucky, called me a Yankee because I was from northern Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I think they were just jealous.
Yeah.
Just jealous.
Well, I mean, you were mostly from Cincinnati, which is essentially
okay, careful.
different.
That's a little bit of a
All right.
I'm sorry.
You guys are from a bunch of different places. I'm from California. You can hate them all you want. It's fine.
I'm from Appalachia.
That is not necessarily true, but that's fine. We'll just
It
keep
is.
going.
I'm like right on the edge.
You are on the edge.
I'm an edge
A
case.
different edge.
Okay, for real. Okay, like what are we talking about here? We just did rural health. What's the biggest thing you're focused on right now? Like number one focus at Community Health Network.
That's tough.
If she gives you top three.
Yeah, top three
Okay,
would
top
be
three, top three.
would be definitely how do we digitally enable to improve access. Goes back to what I said on the panel. I think there's things that are not gonna change, right? You're still gonna have a doctor-patient relationship. You're still gonna have to come in and physically see them for the most part. So how do we make those processes easier? Obviously, addressing provider physician burnout. So augmentation. We don't call it artificial intelligence. We call it assisted or augmented intelligence. So how are we helping clinicians document faster, decision support faster, really, aid in their decision making, and then certainly the kind of the patient experience and all the things that surround that, whether it's scheduling appointments or referrals or prior authorizations. All of those pieces are just all ripe for digital transformation and engagement. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change. Healthcare is still fundamentally a people business, right?
Yeah, that's
It's
what I'm talking about.
It's a relationship between a doctor and a patient, a provider and a patient, or a therapist, or whoever it is. And so technology is going to wrap around that. But and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know that in my lifetime that's going to be completely disruptive.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I think importantly, it always goes like we have a healthcare structure. We could talk about breaking it and removing it and all of that. But at the end of the day, patients are going to still need to go to hospitals. We're still going to have acute care necessary, and supporting the people that practice it versus trying to replace them, which I don't think will ultimately work, is I think the right philosophical piece.
COVID taught us that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the hospitals were the most important places during COVID. And I think that until human behavior changes with, all the social determinants and diet and exercise and wellness, you're still going to have hospitals and hospital beds and medical beds and surgical beds and ICUs. And that's not going to change.
Yeah.
So you said something, Ben, in your stand-up bit.
When I talked about erections.
Okay, your PR team said we cannot let you talk about erections.
I took notes the whole time.
She actually said, "I can't come.
Oh my gosh.
Please make sure he doesn't talk about erections." Congratulations.
Too late.
Ben is an infectious disease doctor. He actually deals with
STI.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. They didn't say I couldn't say
I
it.
was making it.
You were making
a
a
point about
what do people care about?
what's
gonna
important in
motivate
healthcare.
someone
Right. What's important
to
in
seek
healthcare.
care outside of a health
Right.
system? And they say, "Oh, this company is going to give me erection pills on the internet. I don't have to go."
Right.
We're we're allowed to talk.
Everybody knows this is what happens.
I
We
barely
don't
know.
need to
It's all good.
We need
It's
to
all good.
destigmatize discussions.
Your point was valid. Your point was that why would people
I
want
remember
go
having to manage you as a
outside
PR
of the health
person.
system?
I'm having some empathy.
They want to go to an app. They don't want to talk to a person. They want to press the information in and then get someone to send them pills.
Yes.
And that is, obviously you also made the point about, telehealth as a antibiotics delivery vehicle. And like, I had a great experience. I went online, I did a 5-second thing, and then they sent me the Z-Pack.
Right.
And I fake
it's
pink
scary.
eye every time my kids have pink
That's
eye.
right.
And like, I got makeup on, there's no pink eye.
Whoever pays for Kat's healthcare,
Sorry.
please know that this is a problem. Stop her now.
Listen, I'm not going to take my kids in to get pink eye stuff.
her
I'm
now.
just going to get it. I'm
We
going
don't
to
want
get
you
the
to bring
adult
him in.
size
We don't
one.
want you to bring
That's
him
what
in.
that's what I'm talking about.
Taking for pink eye, but that's a total side note.
Well, no,
medically.
Z-Pack.
Right.
No,
That's
the
what I'm worried about.
the drops, Ben.
Can
the drops.
I do a public service
Yes,
announcement
yeah,
that conjunctivitis or pink eye is usually caused by
usually fine.
allergies or a
Usually fine.
virus, and
It's
you should
usually
not
fine.
be taking an antibiotic.
Anyway,
for
Also,
it.
wash your hands
The point is,
really well.
Please.
Please.
Ben, you said something really great. You actually said something
Wow.
of substance
I know,
during
you're
your
right.
session, and I'm interested in Patrick's thoughts on it. Look, I'm
Okay.
really interviewing you. Like, I'm really into it. You were talking about Best Buy and how a lot of these companies make money on the margin of healthcare, like fixing things
That
a
was a
little
good
bit,
point.
which was what our panel was kind of about, right? Like, we need like systematic change, but everybody's kind of fixing things here and there where they can. So like, yeah, you guys are like actually going hard in.
I think the opportunity at Care at Home is just huge. I mean, it speaks to so many of our issues in healthcare. The number one, which is access, right? It's how do we ensure that people get the primary care appointments they need and the hospital bed or ER visit that they need. We right now in almost every community, rural or urban, suffer from a lack of access. So by shifting things to home, and it's not everything should shift to home, we will ameliorate what I think is one of the biggest issues in healthcare. And that's why I'm kind of wildly enthusiastic about it, recognizing that it's really hard.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have Geek Squad. You talked about how they're a really experienced workforce who go in and help people. They want to help people with their technology problems. You then went in and said, okay, who in this broad group, wants to also be sort of involved in the healthcare side and get a couple bits of additional training on how to do like blood pressure cuffs, for example. Okay, you could expand that even further with other community health worker resources. So bring them together, right? You get the community health worker, you get the tech specialist. Let's do it.
So here's kind of a little.
That's what we're gonna do because we've got that. We've got the community health workers.
Did I queue up the deal? Keep going.
No,
I didn't even know, but it's a great idea.
But that's exactly
be cool.
That's exactly the model that we see.
Yes.
And so the partnerships. What I was talking about on our panel, this is a partnership thing. Best Buy is going to bring certain skills and capabilities. We have certain skills and capabilities. How do we marry those two together to really meet the needs? And so we have a cadre of community health workers. We have a cadre of care in the home.
You have clinical expertise. You have patient
expertise.
relationships. This is not what Best Buy should be doing.
Right.
Best Buy should be enabling.
We need the Geek
right.
Squad right now again. We're having some technical difficulties.
The ZocDoc guys, they won't let them in. Apparently, they wouldn't let you guys in.
They wouldn't let us in.
Did you not tell them you knew who we were?
I had to spell your name for them, and they still didn't let us in.
Jesus, no! You could just climb over the barrier.
Well, this as you can see, is a very legitimate operation. So, okay, so I love the CHW stuff.
This is a great idea.
I'm into it.
That's exactly the conversation we're having. So what Ben was saying is we know that we're not going to get rid of hospital admissions, but let's be practical here. Most health systems don't make money on medical admissions. They lose money. They make it on the surgeries, the ACLs, the others. So let's push some of those low acuity people that are on the brink when they come into the ER. They're not sick enough to be admitted, but they're too sick to go home. Perfect. Let's get them out with home care, immediate care, meet all their needs. Geek Squad comes by, gets their RPM set up, all that type stuff. It's a win-win. Patient gets better outcome. It's lower cost for the system. We have capacity to open things up for the sicker patients. It's a win.
I like it.
Love it. That's awesome.
So are we doing a deal or what? Is this
I think
deal
they're-
time.
Do you have the paper contract?
Right. I actually keep one right here.
Yeah, at all times. I feel like this deal's done. I feel like we made some magic happen. I don't know. But then it's really cool. Is there a certain person, like, I know percentages are hard, right? That's dumb because these are like humans we're talking about. But is there a percentage of that? You said that not quite high acuity enough that you
easily 20, 30, 40% of medical
Really?
admissions don't need to be in the hospital.
Okay.
They're in there for another reason. They don't have adequate family support. They're
They have
struggling
no
with medications.
regular access to care.
They don't have access to care. There's something else going on.
Right,
It's
right.
not, and those are the people. So when we talk about prior authorization and length of stay, those are the people that end up, because you're not going to fix those problems in a 3-day hospital
Right,
stay.
right.
They end up staying for 8, 9, 10, 12 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And bed is gonna fix that.
Okay, I have a here's my slightly controversial take. Okay, what if they don't have homes like a lot of people?
Oh, what
I mean,
about homes?
this-
Because that's where the model.
So that's another problem.
has a problem.
That's true. But can we work with not-for-profits or philanthropy to build a respite type home?
Yeah, or are you prepared to go into shelters or transitional housing or what? Like that's obviously you're getting out of a core area of competency, and there's a lot of other issues there and structures. But is that also on the horizon for you?
I mean, speaking frankly, I mean, from an innovation standpoint, we have to start somewhere, and we're still working at all the details of what care at home means and how
Totally.
to support it. However, in kind of the bigger story, like one of Best Buy's major foundation investments is tech training.
Right.
With the essential theory that if you get people jobs and salaries and everything, some of the food and shelter insecurity can go away. And we're not removing the food and shelter insecurity so that we can then sell them Best Buy product, right?
Wow.
More fundamental than that.
The biggest problem you're going to have in the shelters is privacy. So HIPAA and privacy and those types of things are still an issue. You still have to respect that. So when you have a group type setting, and like Ben was saying, care in the home or care outside the hospital is not going to be for every patient. It's not going to be for every condition, and it shouldn't be. We should come up with other solutions for those. Those.
But can
people in
you
those
divert
situations.
enough people and get them care in the home appropriately so that other resources can be used for other
Absolutely. That's
critical
our goal.
needs? Right.
There's a low hanging fruit
Right,
aspect
right,
of this
right.
that we do have to focus on.
So what you need to do is you need to get, pink eye medication to Kat when she wants a Z-Pack. You need to make sure she does not show up in that emergency
No, I just
room.
want the eye drops.
Ben's like, absolutely not.
I want the
This
eye
is a
drops.
public
Don't
health
know
doc's
what she is
nightmare.
being
It's a
given.
nightmare.
And mass mailing of erectile
Right,
dysfunction.
mass mailing for what?
Solved.
Listen, I just want to tell you guys those the birth control websites.
Yeah.
I live in a red state. All of them are sending me birth control just in case. I have it in my fridge just in case. I think it lasts longer in there. I got everything in there. So I am
We're sure it's not just for you. It's for everybody.
Well, I mean,
It's for
how much do I
everybody.
need? Well, listen, I got a whole community to take care of here.
That's right.
So,
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. Nice.
So they're
It's
sending.
true. Listen,
it's
I get
because-
as much as I can.
They got to send the birth control out because there's
Whoever is paying for Kat's care, please
That's
be
what I'm talking
aware.
about, and it's a red state.
Yeah.
I hope no one comes to arrest me because I'm sure we'll
They
change our
might.
laws
They
soon.
might. They might.
But anyway,
Yeah.
It is
I live
really,
right next to Alabama.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is really ironic, however. I don't know the hers and hims
Yeah.
companies, but I do love that hims is about erectile dysfunction and hers is about depression.
Right.
That's the two commercial.
They
watch
go
these-
hand in hand.
I watch these commercials and I'm like, this is such an interesting combination.
Like,
One
what are
is
we doing
about-
here?
Right. I'm like,
Are you ready for this? I mean, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Our next guest is
copy.
queued up, and he's
I think-
learning
Patrick, I
quickly.
think they're done with
This
us.
is our hook.
Wrong.
I was like, this poor guy we're talking about.
Our model of being live the entire time is really interesting for
Yeah, it's like-
everyone's sanity.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it.
Absolutely.
Okay, but listen.
Thanks for having us.
They're doing a deal. They did a deal. Probably
Very exciting.
it's gonna
I
happen.
feel like
It's
we're
a good. It's a
responsible
good
for this deal.
example.
If you guys do like a celebratory
You can take us to
you
dinner.
invite
Amazing. All right, they're
Right,
trying to
they're
walk
done.
off. Yeah, they're walking off.
They're done.
Thank you very much. See you
you.
guys soon.
Bye, Ben.
All right.
Well,
Dr.
the PR
Gross.
team will see
Oh
that.
God. Oh God.
I
Oh God.
tried.
Okay.
All right.
All
We
right.
have a
All right. All right.
legitimate
All right.
guest
We have a real guest. Come on, join us. Here we go.
He's actually a real business person.
A real business person unlike us. You just told us there's no. We don't have.
All
any
right,
other-
wonderful. It's
Yeah.
very cute.
The
What's
budget.
its name?
You want to name it?
Oh.
Looks like Charlie to me.
Oh.
Charlie.
Charlie. Well, your
Wow.
children christened it, so that's all I know.
Yeah, my children, they've made all this not work. So anyway,
All right.
so Dr. Oliver Carras.
Yeah, Oliver is fine.
Okay.
Good-
Oliver.
Good to see you.
All right,
Nice to see
listen,
you.
we have like a real guest here. So
All doctors today so far.
your
Wow.
your PR person gave us an amazing pitch. They were talking about unicorns and rainbows and the end of times and the best of times and you. So yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Well, apparently they asked you to talk about contrast, right? So the unicorns are one and I'm on the other. But what what I did
Nice.
is I started ZocDoc 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's interesting you to at all, but I could talk a little bit about how we started it, why we started it,
Yeah.
you know, where we are today. Those are
Well, very
companies that
interesting
some of
to
mine-
be a company in the space that started now quite some time ago. I mean, I remember I was around.
So that was the pitch, right?
Yeah.
That you guys have been around
And here you
forever.
are.
You're
And here we are
actually
in
successful,
2024.
and you still exist.
Right.
We still
right.
exist.
know,
We're
it's
thriving. We're
different.
growing. We're profitable. So
Right.
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that went right for us, and you know, many things that were very difficult. Right? Like no one starts a marketplace because it's easy. You know,
Right.
people start a marketplace because they think it's easy, and then they get in touch with reality, and it very quickly it's very apparent that it's actually hard to do this. But you know, the driving element for us was really it's so hard to get a doctor. Even back then, 17
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
from the time you pick up the phone, you start dialing for doctors till you actually see one, it's a month for a primary care doctor,
Yeah.
right? Longer for specialists. Completely absurd.
Right.
But what people told us when we started ZocDoc, they said, of course you have to wait because there's a shortage of doctors. And whenever there's a shortage, you have to wait in line till it's your turn to consume the product. And our contrarian insight was really, no. Doctors, they have last minute cancellations. They have no shows. They have reschedules. There's all this hidden inventory. And today, where we have the technology to look into the doctor's schedules, we actually see that roughly a third of the doctor's time goes unused. Wasted capacity, right,
Right.
of this perishable inventory. Then you look at pretty much any other industry, you know, whether that's hotel rooms or apartment rentals or taxis or tickets or restaurant tables, airplane seats, you know, whatever it is, there is a marketplace that clears that perishable inventory and matches it up with consumers, right? And so in healthcare, we are that marketplace. You know, we help consumers find that doctor's perishable inventory, and as a result, the patients actually, you know, can be seen within 24 hours, typically at a max 72 hours, even with specialists, right? Like that used to be very, very unattainable. And we, you know, at the same time, make the universe better for the healthcare system as a whole. We keep people out of the emergency room, and we make it better for the doctors who can now utilize the time that they want to work with actually seeing patients instead of staring at their calendar at that whole the last minute cancellation created for them. So it's a win-win-win system where ZocDoc is just a facilitator of a more efficient healthcare system for all of us.
Love it. I like how you're talking about it because I don't, I use ZocDoc. You just do the thing, right? And it's less about like the whole inventory side of it is really interesting and like, making sure people actually get appointments. We were so these guys that were just sitting here, we just did our rural. Yeah, they were doing a deal, but we were speaking on a panel together about rural health and access. And I mean, this is kind of like to the same thing, right? It's an access issue,
Right.
It is absolutely an access issue. It's an access issue that, you know, for the most part is completely solvable without us actually having to scramble additional resources, right? Like one of the big misconceptions is that we need X thousand additional doctors and there's this big labor shortage. Well,
that's a very contrarian view you're about to.
Yeah,
see.
I'm like interested in this.
Keep
So
going.
keep going.
it's a labor shortage if you allow 30% of your capacity to go to waste.
Okay.
Right? That is true. That's the part of the equation you need to change. And so this is what sort of we are.
It's very
going
hard to
after.
match up,
It is hard to match up.
patients with the available inventory, right? Because just because a doctor's available at 2:30 p.m., I might not. Like, there's a matching.
So
component
the
to
interesting bit is that's actually less of the hard. It's like saying, airplanes.
Sure.
Well, of course, you don't want to go, from Los Angeles to Denver. Maybe
Right.
you want to go to New York or some other place.
Right.
But there are so many of you looking that these airplanes actually in a post-internet era are 90+% full. And,
I know.
and so
It's
the-
hard to get an upgrade.
I never get upgraded.
well, there's
Huge
that.
bummer.
But also for us as a societal perspective, right? We pay for the airplane, we pay for the fuel. Obviously, we want these airplanes to be
Right.
full, right? And so why has this changed? Because airplanes used to fly, 20, 30% empty. The internet has changed that.
Interesting.
Now, the bit about the airline industry, it's very different from healthcare, is that even before the internet, there was a database called Sabre of
It still
every.
exists, unfortunately. It's the underpinning of
It
all these
still exists,
systems.
but here's the cool thing about it. It was you knew every single airplane that
Right.
was flying, every
Mm.
single seat, and what the status of this
Right.
is. Healthcare is as if every single airplane is its own phone number, that you
That's a
need
good
to
point.
call
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
try to find that seat. And obviously, in that scenario, you'll just give up calling more airplanes at some point,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so we are that saber. We had to build that ourselves. That was the hard part because there's absolutely a long tail
Right.
of EHRs. We had to learn to write integrations
Mm.
to all of them, right? And that was just the technical layer. I'll tell you a fun story from the early days where we sort of started to have these connections into the EHRs, but we would still get cancellations where the office manager would just tell us, well, the doctor isn't available at this time.
You're
I
like,
said,
well,
well, why
why did
not?
we schedule this
Like,
then?
and we did a screen share. We looked at sort of their calendar. We looked at our copy in the cloud, identical, right? We brought all the smartest people in the company together. I walked their dogs. I brought them pizza. They
Oh my
couldn't
God,
figure.
yes.
And so eventually we couldn't figure it out. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to sit in the office, right, with the office manager. And so I sat there. They showed me photos of their kids, of their dog. I fixed their printer. I taught them better strategies to
Speaking
play
of tech
Minesweeper,
support,
right?
That's what I'm talking about. Startups.
And we couldn't figure it out until one day the doctor came out and said, hey, you know what? I'm out next Friday. And what does the office manager do? Do they go into their scheduling system and block out next Friday, or do they take a post-it note, write on it, doctor out next Friday, and stick
oh,
that to their monitor?
Yeah,
So in the
no.
real world, right,
right.
the post-it notes, of course, happen, and when you're naive to that, you create unhappiness on the side of the patient,
Right.
the
Right. Right. Right.
doctor,
Right.
the office manager, then
Right.
ultimately ZocDoc. Once you know it's happening, math is your friend, and you can start filtering this out. That's just one example. There's literally 1,000.1%
Yeah.
solutions we had to find before we could take the show on the road, right? And so that was
Right.
the hard part about it.
Mm.
And there's,
But you're saying something that is, I think, is really important. We do a lot of work in the data exchange space, broadly speaking.
Sexy.
HIEs, data
Mm.
utilities, other data sharing entities, infrastructure entities, and I also worked at an EHR company, and also interestingly for this conversation, I used to work at Virgin America, RIP Virgin America. So I understand sort of the that infrastructure as well, and the structured data and the standards around Sabre that were used everywhere. So I get all of those pieces, and the thing that's really important that you just said that you did was deeply trying to understand the workflows of the people who are responsible for it. And you have to, as you said, literally sit there and be like, what is happening? What are you doing? What are the things that you're touching? What are you moving? And it doesn't get better until you can actually really observe and help collaborate on optimization
it
of
is an
that workflow.
incredible
Yeah.
learning curve that takes a long, long time. And because of that, we've actually decided to open that up to third parties,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
So we allow folks to access us as an availability layer so that they can schedule in
Nice.
their patients
that's very cool.
into that existing network.
Like, let's give you a better way of doing this that
It,
you can use
precisely,
wherever.
right? Like it's like cable, right? Like
Mm.
once you laid the last mile,
Hey, you're running on the rails.
you're
Running
running
on
on
the
the
rails.
rails,
We were,
right?
Everyone
talking,
loves
we were
the
talking
rails.
about rails yesterday.
rails.
We were talking about e-prescribing rails.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is sort of the availability rails, if you want to,
Mm.
right? And so we want to be an open company, which is a little bit different maybe than the tack that many healthcare companies are taking.
Yeah.
But we've already seen great success. We have a partnership with the Veterans Administration that is using us to send
Oh, wow.
veterans into the community care network.
Very
We work
cool.
with various payers that use that to help their patients manage through their flow in the healthcare system. So we're trying to open up this achievement and this standard that we've created to third parties.
Is there also a case, I'm thinking, about the pandemic and right now the behavioral health crisis, is there also a case where you are doing kind of like bed availability, bed surge, psych boarding, or is
Could you do
that
that?
kind of,
So
is that
we
beyond?
have mental health is a huge domain for ZocDoc, right? We are in some ways the superset of all the mental health providers because all the large ones are on ZocDoc, and I would say a plurality of the smaller ones. So you can actually, if you have a mental health access issue, you can find a provider on ZocDoc, very seamlessly. So it's a point of pride for us that we're kind of the clearinghouse for this as well. But I think it's not limited to any given specialty. What the point that we probably can make now that we get sort of the hidden supply of healthcare, these last minute cancellations and the notion of the reschedules recaptured, right? The next frontier for us is really how do we actually increase the pool of available sort of
Right.
professional hours. And so one of the things is, okay, great. So we got rid of the blatant waste. The next step is to actually make people more efficient. So we have rolled out a suite of tools that we call Zocdoc Practice Solutions. They're completely free. So any provider can use that. You don't need to be a Zocdoc customers. You can use it for any patient, not just patients that have booked through Zocdoc, but it includes, obviously online scheduling, since we do scheduling as a free tool that can work directly from the provider's website or from search engines. But we also have like a free video service, so completely compliant, and we have an intake solution. So, and we're particularly proud of that. We have seen enormous time savings, roughly 2 hours a day.
Oh, nice.
For
intake
practice.
is a real. There's a lot of administrative waste there. It's truly remarkable.
It is remarkable,
Really.
and it's remarkable when you look at even market leading intake solutions. They're really not made with the patient in mind, who's ultimately the individual that's filling out that information. We've taken our experience with sort of patient centered ways of dealing with that and translate this into our intake solution. And we've seen great response rates. Patients are filling this out, 90% plus of the time, which is very high. But also we've seen enormous uptake on the provider side. So at this point we have over 7,000 practices using this, and we just launched it April of last year, so it's not quite 12 months yet. And to put that into context, Phreesia, which is a publicly traded company, I don't have their last reports numbers, but the one before last, they had 3,700 clients, and so we've more than doubled what they have in less than 12 months. And so I think that's the power of actually bringing on the road what we've learned over 17 years about patient behavior and practice efficiency, and just helping them, do a better job and recoup time that they can use to see more patients.
That's awesome. So, you've been in this space for quite some time. Zocdoc has no doubt gone through tons of ups and downs and all of the cycles and all the different things. And, it must be really interesting sitting here now and seeing all of these health tech companies in a new-ish wave and all the things they're going through. Do you have any advice? We were just saying earlier, I feel a great sense of stress right now from newer health tech founders. They are maybe weren't prepared for this cycle. Money was really cheap when they were raising money in 2020 and 2021, and they are experiencing maybe their first major sort of cash crunch. Any advice for these newer health tech founders?
Stories.
Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely stories out there. My macro advice is like, look, if you graduated with an MBA, in 2008, right? You're now approaching 40. You've never seen a recession.
Yeah.
So it's actually very healthy to see that. And the job of leadership and CEOs in these companies is to make the car go as fast as possible without losing contact with the road if there's a curve that you hadn't anticipated, right? And so now we're learning, there are curves, right? I happen to have lost, I my first startup was in the early 90s. I lost all my money in 2001. It was a great learning experience, right? And protected me from too much money too early on in life. So
you want to be able to still close the safe. I'm glad there's not that much in there.
Exactly. It was empty.
The safe was empty.
I'm glad that I still had the safe. I could sell that and for food and
that's what I'm talking about.
Valuable for
struggle.
But just to give you sort of an optimistic story here, also, like Zocdoc started out and we were well on the way, but we actually started with the wrong business model.
Yeah.
And we had this flat fee, and it was very easy to explain. Every doctor paid $3,000, but some doctors got 10,000 patients from us a year. Some got 10, and it actually followed a power curve. And so there was not one single flat price that you could charge that was right for most doctors. In fact, any price you would choose was nearly all doctors, right? So it either was too high or too low. And so we had to go through a multi-year process where we get permission from the regulator in DC. I camped out on the Hill. I met
regulation. Yeah, love regulation.
But I, like, as you can hear from my accent, I wasn't born here, but I was welcomed here, and I very actually enthusiastic about how the system works. We told our story. We told them why we're a good utility for the country to have, and how we are held back by regulation that's 50 years old, and we found open ears, and we actually got permission to operate differently. Like we reinvented our entire company. We had to build new systems to charge in a different way. We had to build new capabilities, really create a marketing muscle, and bring in new execs to help us do this. So it was a very long, multi-year period where revenue was flat, right? Not easy to see when you're venture backed, and at that point we were still losing money. So we
Safe is still empty.
Safe still, like, well, I mean, at this point, I'm happy to report that ZocDoc is growing quite rapidly, and we're profitable. So my personal safe is still empty, but ZocDoc safe is starting to fill up, and that's obviously which allows us to invest in these kind of initiatives and do many things that are free to our providers and obviously to the patients, and give back.
Tell us about AI.
Does he have to?
Well, I'm hoping he's gonna
tell people to calm down. Tell them it's in the same universe as any other predictive
rainbows and
analytics.
sparkles AI. We're maybe here for that, but we're mostly here for you to tell us AI might be a little dumb.
Well, I mean, look, AI is obviously on the ascendancy in the hype cycle, right?
In the hype cycle, it's up in the hype cycle for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Which does mean there aren't many legitimate applications of it, right?
Yeah.
And so, do I think that AI is going to immediately replace physicians? No, I think we are very, very far away from that. Do I think that physicians that use AI are going to outcompete physicians that don't use AI? I absolutely think that that's true. And again, driving towards that efficiency, we want to make tools available to physicians and practices that help them, compete and run their businesses more efficiently, more effectively. And I think that is where we'll start seeing AI make a difference first. In some looser sense, like if you don't think about like generative AI necessarily, obviously there isn't a tech company that hasn't been using AI for a long time. Like that is sort of table stakes, and something that was in our search algorithm for years and years and years, and make sort of every search better for every patient as they go through. So I think you started out with unicorns and what have you, pancakes, all like rainbows, all that
the
good
best
stuff.
things.
I'm I think don't get carried away with the unicorn hunting, but I also think it is can be fantastically useful, and I'm fundamentally an optimist and think that technology can make absolute positive change in our lives, and can allow us to utilize our resources better, and live more full, more fulfilled, and richer lives, and maybe fill up that safe over time.
Maybe.
That's amazing.
I have a question about the 30% again. Sorry,
Mm.
I'm back to it. That could have been a great close, but we're not done
That was
yet.
a fantastic.
Right.
It was really
we'll
wrapping
come
it
back
up
to
for you.
No, we'll be good. So the 30% is that a specific specialty, or is that
The
just
average
across the board?
the true number is 28%. That's the average.
I round up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just for simplicity's sake, but like that's an average across. It's actually not by specialty; it's by institution. So some organizations are run more tightly, and some are sort of less so. And my advice for anyone who might be listening to this and says, "Well, how do I know which bucket I fall?"
People, by the way,
Right.
Thousands of
Right.
people are watching.
Live. Like
tens of
I
people.
actually see some of them already here. And,
Tens of people.
Absolutely.
So the way to do it, like many measure themselves by how many what's the third next available, right? Don't do that. Measure yourself by looking back and saying what percentage of my provider time was utilized. That's the metric that you should really be looking at, and very few look at that efficiently. In my interactions, and we have like health systems and hospital clients, we have PE backed clients, we have individual practitioners that just hang out their shingle. The PE clients are currently stealing the market share from hospitals at a rate that is truly alarming,
We
because
were talking
they
about
think
this
that
before
way.
too. Exactly. Like this
tell us what
idea.
you think.
This idea of taking, what can you do with your health tech company? You can try and peel patients away from the really fully capable health systems, or you can support them and enhance what they do.
So we support everyone who wants to work with us. What I'll say is like we're just a tool, and how you use it is sort of that's in the hand of our
Yeah.
client. And I'll say that we see, so we have the macro view on how this market share plays out. And pre-pandemic, it was really 50-50 between financial sponsor backed, PE backed groups and health systems, and that has shifted all the way to 80-20 in the favor of these LPGs. And so they selectively pick out the most profitable patients from the marketplace, and they leave the hospitals with a reminder, which is obviously increasing
Harder
margin
to
pressure
serve,
on.
more serious issues, all kinds of things
So
like
I
that.
think and obviously, like, it's not as if we're saying, well, the like hardest to serve patients should be in a less acute setting. It is that the hospitals need to also get the mix right, so that they ultimately have the margins to support their mission.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's something that we don't see happening yet, even though I've seen this starting in January at the conference in San Francisco, that the animal spirits are returning to the health systems
Yeah.
universe. And so
Yeah.
I think 2024 is probably going to be the year of the resurgence and reaction, which
Okay.
took a couple of years, but I see that happening.
That's awesome.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. This is a very interesting conversation that I didn't know we were going to have.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the best thing about
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Is great. So was there? I think there was like maybe one additional piece of news that from ZocDoc you want to share, like a new announcement.
So we just launched guided search,
Okay.
which is really designed to make it easier for patients to have certainty that they are sort of selecting a doctor that's right for them. So it's just a series of questions that are articulated in a way that like a layperson can answer them and understand how they relate to their problem. And we've seen really fantastic success with that. Like patients are more confident choosing their providers. The overall conversion rate has increased, but in particular for something like first trimester pregnancy, that has doubled since we launched it. Some things that like hair loss, you start working on that, like has tripled actually. And it's not all me. Like there's other people doing that.
You're
too.
also searching.
Right.
Awesome. Hair loss.
So we see that that matching process is something that's important. And like every patient that picking up the phone and dialing for
Nice.
doctors has made the experience that they show up somewhere and it's not the right doctor to treat them. And for the doctors, it's obviously even more expensive and annoying. And so we've always addressed this problem, but now we've made it really, really very, very targeted, and that helps both parties.
Nice. Awesome. Very good. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you.
the
Thank you
show.
so much for having
So
me.
nice
It's
to
good to
talk to
chat
you.
with you.
It all worked out.
Awesome.
Nothing,
All right.
Nothing controversial.
Goodbye,
happened.
friends. We'll see you
Everything.
at 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
ish.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
1:30, 2:30
For our
to
next
most
set of
likely 2.
conversations. Talk to you later.